Canada just hit the highest level of consumer insolvencies for a September since 2009. And yet some people are saying the economy is strong, the economy is resilient, jobs are up, employment is steady, everything's fine, right? But if everything is fine, explain this. 12,668 Canadians filed insolvency in September 2025. That's a 10.6% higher rate than last year. This makes it the second highest September on record for the data set. That's not my opinion, guys. That's actually straight from the Office of the Superintendent of Bankruptcy. And here's the part no headline, no politician, and definitely no bank wants to say out loud. This isn't a warning sign. This is more of like a pivot point, the moment the market quietly, systematically shifts. And if you own real estate or you're trying to get into real estate, you're going to feel this change whether you like it or not, in the way homes are moving and just in the overall change of a seller and a buyer behavior, whether you're ready for it or not. And listen up, Canada, because the market you're used to for the last 5 years, yeah, that's old Canada. The chapter is now closed. It's done. And what you're stepping into now is a completely different reality, one that's already catching some homeowners off guard. I'm Linda, one of the Ragona sisters, and today I'm breaking down exactly what this surge in insolvencies really means for your home, for your renewal strategy, your timing, and opportunities that can arise from it. So make sure to like, share, and subscribe because I'm about to show you data that paints a completely different picture than the one you might see on the evening news. And trust me, understanding this shift early gives you some severe leverage. So let's jump into it, shall we? Imagine you're in 2020 all over again. Justin Trudeau, yours truly, steps up to the podium and the message is very clear. We need to stimulate the economy. Overnight, the Bank of Canada drops the rates and continues to do so. We got down to 0.25%, which was our policy rate. Money became cheaper than water. And the real estate market, it didn't just heat up, it went nuclear. People borrowed and they borrowed outside their means, and household debt in Canada soared to one of the highest levels of any G7 country, over 182% of disposable income. Homes were selling for prices that jumped from 3%, 4%, even 5% month over month, especially in the Greater Toronto Area and Vancouver. Buyers were literally being priced out in real time. Every 30 days felt like the prices were getting farther and farther away from a first-time home buyer. It was ridiculous. And did anyone stop and say, maybe this is unsustainable, that maybe we're pushing prices this far, this fast, could price out an entire generation, that families buying at the peak would one day face a financial shock the second rates went back to normal? Because here we are, and the people at the top were speaking like none of this was predictable, like nobody could have ever possibly figured this out and connected the dots. But the truth is, many economists, analysts, and even regular Canadians like you and I saw the warning signs way before we got to this point, well before rates even changed. There was no real plan for what would happen when money got, more expensive again. And now some are living the consequences. Then came the rate hikes, the fastest tightening campaign in decades. Mortgage payments, they surged. In some cases, 35% more on your mortgage payment, and sometimes a lot higher than that, depending on your mortgage type. And while households were still trying to catch up on their debt, immigration, decided to accelerate, and we had record levels of new immigrants adding demand into a market trying to cool down. I actually talked about this in a previous video. The timing couldn't be more consequential. We added population faster than we added housing, and we pretended that the math would just magically work out. Canada just kept compounding the problem. And now when we look back at the last 5 years, 5 years of like the cheapest money probably we'll ever see, followed by the steepest rate reset, Let's not forget about the record amount of immigration that flooded the country. So the cracks, they weren't just visible, they're now wide open. Insolvencies climbing to their highest September since 2009, households financially stretched, renewals hitting like a hammer, listings starting to shift, and a market that's cooling not because people don't want homes, but because the financial reality finally caught up to the artificially accelerated growth. This wasn't all of a sudden. This wasn't random. This was pressure that was built up for half a decade, and now it's being released. Everyone keeps saying the economy, or a lot of people are saying the economy is so resilient, but Canadian insolvency numbers are telling a very different story, and they're telling it very loudly. The OSB reported almost 140,000 insolvencies in the 12-month period ending in September. That's the highest September total since, again, 2009. And here's the part that many don't elaborate on. In 2009, unemployment was 8.3%. In September 2025, it was 7.1%. But the majority of the jobs added were part-time, meaning we have an economy and an affordability issue. We created a debt servicing issue from the cost of living, from your mortgage payments that have jumped at renewal by hundreds and maybe even thousands of dollars a month. And let me be honest with you, many Canadians, they're just tapped out. Our household debt levels are, like I said, some of the highest in the world. Property taxes, high, gas, high, insurance, childcare, and don't even get me going on groceries. It's like life has turned into a subscription service, and every couple of months, it just keeps going up. But the insolvency numbers tell an even deeper story when you zoom out, because on the surface, it looks nominal. And that cap is still accelerating. It's not stabilizing. It's not slowing down. The trend is triggering alarm bells. We're not going the other direction. It's continuing going up. You're watching a financial pressure cooker. And whenever that happens, real estate reacts. It always does. Now, let me bring this full circle to the market, because this is where things get very, very interesting. Our market doesn't fall apart instantly. It actually shifts quietly. And the signs, they start popping up if you're paying attention, of course. Here's one. Listings are sitting longer. I've seen many listings sitting for over a year, and we're seeing multiple listings for a single property. It's relisted like 5 or 6 times, especially in areas of abundant supply. And another sign that we're seeing is buyers are very hesitant, wondering if they'll have a job in 6 months. That's financial anxiety. People want to buy, but they're scared to commit because they don't know where they'll be in 6 months. And honestly, I get that. When the cost of debt, food, gas, and everything else keeps rising, confidence drops. And when that does, it happens way before prices go downwards. That's how the cycle starts. Rising insolvencies don't cause a housing crash. They cause a movement. It causes a movement of necessity, of pressure, and of tightening timelines. So when households are carrying a mortgage, home line of credit, car payments, credit cards, and other variable expenses, something eventually gives. Not because people want to change anything, but because the math is not working anymore. This is why historically, when insolvencies rise, real estate listings increase, motivated sellers appear, and price expectations, they finally come down to earth. And thousands of Canadian homeowners are heading toward renewals. Imagine your mortgage payment going from $600, $800, or even $1,000 more a month. Even with a stable job, that's a lot. And when that happens at the same time, insolvencies spike, you got pressure, and that's across the entire market. But before you think this is a doom and gloom story, it's really not. This is actually the setup for one of the best opportunity windows we've seen in many years. Because here's the truth. Pressure creates clarity, and clarity creates motivation. And at the same time, buyers, You've been waiting, watching, and saving, and quietly stepping back in. Some have already stepped in. Not speculators, not flippers, but real families, real investors, and people who see the opportunity in a calmer, more realistic, more rational market. That's why I keep saying we are entering a more skill-based market, not a hype market, not a throw a sign on the lawn and pray market, a real strategic, numbers-driven market. There's a lot of pent-up demand right now. Now let's pull all this together into an actual practical takeaway, things that you can use today. If you're a homeowner, don't wait until your renewal letter comes in. Look 6 to 12 months ahead. Run the numbers with the new rates. See if your home is still working for your budget. If it is, that's amazing. If it's not, you have some options while you still control the timeline, because once you lose control of your timeline, you end up forfeiting and give things that you weren't willing to give in the first place. And if you're a buyer, this is a time to prep, get rate holds, clean up your credit, stack savings, because a more realistic market rewards the people that are prepared. And there are already opportunities surfacing. And if you're an investor, you're about to enter one of the most interesting markets in decades. Motivated sellers are willing to give you terms you wouldn't be able to touch a few years back. And be mindful of the new rental rates. It could really change your math. Markets shift, so do rates, and so does inventory. And no one has a crystal ball. That's why your real advantage is planning early, because this is how you can capitalize on an opportunity when it arises. Understanding cycles before the crowd wakes up, which if you've already made it this far, you already do. If this video gave you insight, hit subscribe. It helps get this video out to more people. And if you would like guidance on the Greater Toronto Area market, we would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.